Okay, so when you first come in, we're going to turn on your power just like you normally do. You can see that we've done away with the Samson console, analog console here. And we've got our Allen and Heath in place. This is the CQ20b. It is a 16 input, 8 output iPad controlled digital mixer. We have an external wireless router just for this unit. We've got it installed out here just under the display. You can see the antenna sticking up. And that's the router that we're going to connect to control the mixer. So when you get your iPad, you'll want to, in your settings, your Wi-Fi is going to be Maul Road, Church of Christ mixer, COC mixer. All right, and once you're connected to that network, your iPad is then ready to control the mixer through the app. So we'll want to download the app. It's a CQ Mixpad, and so once you've got CQ Mixpad downloaded, you'll come to this screen when you first open it up, and this is you can do a demo but you'll see your mixer pop up. It's the CQ20b _8771, and so make sure that that is highlighted and push connect. And this is the control surface for the mixer here. You'll see at the top we've got labels already made: pulpit, wireless 1, wireless 2, handheld. And then over here we've got inputs 9 through 16, and we've got overhead left and right, which we could not get to work. We can't get any signal from those microphones. And then we've got the tape input in case you still need it right here over on 16. Everything's color coded. So we'll start with the tabs at the top. Right now we're in processing. So basically any control that any changes we want to make to any of the channels, we can do here. If I highlight any of these, you can see that it dedicates the slider over here to that. So if I touch the pulpit, then I've got a big slider over here. I can also control it with the little one here, but it gives me the big slider over here. Now I can come down here and touch the EQ, and I can make adjustments by dragging the frequencies and stuff. And we've kind of got it set the way that we think sounds good, but you can make some adjustments there in real time, and then just X out. And the same thing with our gain control. When we touch the gain control, we can select whether we want input from the analog inputs, which we do, but there's also, you can choose USB or SD inputs for that channel. So, but we want all of them to be analog. We're not using any of that. High pass filters, auto gain, auto mixing, phantom power, and then our gain control. To adjust the gain control, I just drag it to the left or the right to adjust that. And then, so if we go back, let's see, if we go X out of that, and we're back here. So this is how we basically adjust volume, EQ, all that kind of stuff. To the left of that is the configuration tab. This actually shows us the mixer, the inputs of the mixer. It looks very similar to the inputs of the mixer. And I can touch any of those. I can name it, give it a color, which is going to show up on the channel strips on the processing tab as well. And there's, again, 48 volts and gain. All of that is here too. But I can do some setup here on my inputs and on my outputs. The next one after processing is fader. Now, This is the one that gives us very simple, just volume control. And if you have anyone else that's going to be running it, you may want to keep it in this mode. I can, on this, I can adjust volume only on any of my inputs, and then I've got my main output volume over here on the right at all times. And again, over here on the left, I've got different, this is 1 through 8 and 9 through 16. And then I've got, we'll talk about this in a minute, but I've got down below this stereo 1, stereo 2, which we don't have anything connected into on the mixer, but we've got a USB input if we have a digital playback from a computer or something. We also have a Bluetooth receiver built into this mixer, and we'll look at that in a minute, and effects levels, reverb, and things like that. So the next tab up here is our effects, and so here we've got an easy reverb, an echo verb, chorus, all of those things, and we can add by same thing by dragging to the left or the right. We can add or take away each effect in each input. So in other words, if wireless or handheld, if someone is singing in handheld, I can go to my easy reverb, which I would think would be the most appropriate one, and drag it to the left, and that'll actually turn it up in that channel. Now this is a very live room, so the use of reverb is probably going to be a little bit redundant, but and then there's some control of the effects in there. So there's a whole tab dedicated just to effects. So and then our home is where we're going to record our scenes and everything. So if we come into this and we go straight over to the home tab, and then I can click here and store new, and I'm going to rename. Instead of scene 1, I'm going to call this Bensberg .tech setup. They don't give us enough of that, so Bensberg setup. All right, done. All right, you can see Bensberg setup, and then I'm going to, I can overwrite that. If I change things, I can overwrite that scene. And but here's the neat thing. So if I go to fader, okay, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to turn everything down. Okay, I'll go to home, and I'll reload that scene. So recall, I've got it highlighted, recall, it says this will recall this scene. Okay, now if I go back to fader, my faders are back up. So I've just recalled all of the settings. I can change every setting in here, including the EQs and everything. As long as I have it stored, I can go back and recall it. And the neat thing is I can program multiple scenes. And so if I want a scene that is different for a different event, I can do that as well. But that's just, more than anything, it serves as a safety fallback for us. But in that home tab, so I've got tabs under the tabs. I've got scenes. I've got a record function, so I can actually record to a USB thumb drive. You can see over here on the left of the mixer, I've got a USB and two USB inputs. One is USB-A to go to a computer for multi-track recording. One is for a thumb drive, and then I've got an SD card as well. And I can record here stereo to a thumb drive, or I can come over here to SD, and that's my multi-track that I can record straight to an SD card. But in stereo mode, we're recording to a USB output. And then home, it gives us our quick start and shut down, all of that. We don't need to do any of that. USB data, if you want to see what's on, you can record your show instead to a USB thumb drive instead of on board. If you want to take it to another device or something like that, is all what that's for. There's system info and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the top tabs there. And once you've mastered those top tabs, you pretty much have mastered the whole mixer. There's other things that can be set up, such as mute groups and stuff like that. So I only mute certain things. I can set all of those up in the I believe it's in the home section is where we can set that up. But because the minimum amount of inputs that you have, it may not be necessary to get that involved in it. But all in all, it's a pretty straightforward mixer, straightforward app. Cool thing about this app is it's available for iPhone, Android, iPad, PC, or Windows. It's available for anything, and that's pretty revolutionary because in the past it was iPad only, but now it's they've made it available. And it's a little harder to adjust on a phone, but at least you're not up the creek if you don't have the iPad. But all in all, we've checked the output levels to the recorder and the assistive listening system, and we're getting good levels to there. We've got those levels set. So I'm going to the iPad was supposed to be in last week. It's probably going to come in today. I'll revisit with that iPad to drop it off, so you can set it up with your own iCloud account and things like that, and I can answer any other questions at that time. All right, if you have any trouble with anything, or if you want to get your ambient microphones back online for live streaming or anything like that, just let us know, and we can definitely help with that. 870-814-0714. All right, thank you, sir.